Shalom, family. I'm sorry I had myself on mute. I wanted to talk to y'all. I'm going to make this real brief. Shalom, family. Shalom to everybody. I wanted to talk to y'all because the governor of New Jersey just spoke in a news conference, and apparently Delta and Omicron are surging like crazy in the state. Ladies and gentlemen, it don't look good at all. It don't look good. So save. Trust me on this one. Save your money. Screw Christmas. This is not the season to be spending. This is the season to be saving. Save your money. We are entering 2022 in bad shape. We are. And they're still talking all that. We're not going to lock down. And, we know they're speaking their judgment. They're going to lock this place down. It is so bad. And ladies and gentlemen, these couldn't be the worst people on earth to be in charge during a crisis. See, they can't steal from COVID. They can't rip off COVID and use it for themselves. They can't call the police on COVID. They can't uh, lock up COVID. They can't have their police come out and shoot COVID in the back. See, they can't do none of the usual stuff. That's what they're used to. Always terrorizing and using weaponry against you. Well, you can't do that with COVID. And with this, why do you think things are not improving? Listen to me now. Things are not improving, y'all. We're going into year 2 with zero improvements in this thing. And America is still worse in the entire world when it comes down to this whole thing. So if you go out and look, and I want y'all to do this, go out and look at the news stories. These governors are all making announcements, and nobody has anything promising that's coming from these different states. It's bad. It's bad here. And it's also bad up in New York. They are literally begging the governor to just shut everything down. It is so many people sick. And it's the same way in New Jersey. Just listening to what he had to say, y'all, save. Screw all this Christmas gift stuff and exchanging presents. You can exchange presents anytime during the year. You don't have to do that mess now. Stock up, save your money. Save. That's the only thing that should be on your mind. Screw all of this Christmas trees and buying gifts. Sometimes you just got to talk to your kids and let them know, we are in different times now. We just can't do what we did before. So if you can even save a few dollars every week, do it. If you can stock up on things, stock up. because we're going into a territory. You thought it was bad in 2020 and 2021. I think entering 2022 on their schedule, because the Hebrew, we don't celebrate our new year until spring, but entering their New Year's is going to be entered on a down note. It is not going to be good. So if there's any way you can just squeeze out some money to put aside, do it. This is the time to do it. This is not the time to be doing all this celebrating. And, these folks are trying to normalize in a situation that can't be normalized at all. You can't normalize what's going on out here. Not unless you're just a big fraud, then I guess you can do it. But no, y'all, don't get all this stuff. I mean, I realize many of us don't celebrate the holiday, but if you really are a true Hebrew, you will definitely stay away from these Gentile ways right now. Stay away from those ways and just do whatever you can, because we got to go into survival mode right now. We got to go into survival mode. So, yeah, well, let them celebrate. They can do whatever. We are going to prepare. That's what we're going to do. They can celebrate whatever. Who cares? They haven't been able to get this society back. The whole time it's reopened, it's still in dire shape. And nothing has improved. And it won't. These folks are not made for this sort of thing. See, they're made for the world they can use their weapons in and threaten people. All right. But they're not made for anything quite this complicated. That's why every time they attempt to do something, it turns into a disaster. Okay, we don't need weapons. we that's the last thing we need right now. We don't need weapons. We need people that know how to navigate in a tough situation. And who's better at that than us? We've been navigating through dire conditions for 500 years. Who can do this better than us? Yeah. So y'all just keep your eyes open, stay safe, keep your health and immunity up. And just know, if you got children, just know, let them know they may not be able to get the things they want for now, because it's the time to make sure you can, have enough stash to survive on. Because yes, that's what it's coming down to. That's what it's coming down to. And yeah, y'all are listing some good things like milk and all that. And also consider getting dried milk. If you can get dried milk, get that as well, because that's something that won't go bad, and you can set that aside, because dairy is also going to be a problem. So if you can get some dried milk and just set that aside, just in case you may need it. That's something I always kept around, but may not have used all the time. But I always kept a box of the carnation dried milk, just in case I may need it. So just make sure you get non-perishables. hmm and just, do what you can. Because after listening to him and just looking at the expression on his face, I know it's far worse than what we're being told. You can pretty much read a lot of people, their faces when they're talking to you. Yeah. So yes, lentils, like dried beans, are good. Thank you for listing that, Yvette. Dried beans are also good to get. So if you can get a couple of bags of dried beans, and you definitely want rice, dried milk, and if you can get like dried fruits and stuff that's not going to go bad immediately, that's the way you want to go. Yeah, I mean, they're saying that the schools will reopen. They're going to try to reopen, but y'all, I just don't see it. I just see them attempting to reopen the schools and having to shut them back down. And I don't know, how is that good for children to be educated, and there's just such instability going on all the time? How is this good for the kids? I just don't see how the kids are benefiting from education this year. And they're constantly quarantining and then bringing the school back and then going to remote and then going to How is this good for the kids? That's what I want to know. It's not. It's not. Yes, Spencer W. Definitely plastic containers, bay leaves. Exactly. Exactly. That's right, Jamal Bay. Dry beans, rice, and pasta. You definitely can get that kind of stuff. But y'all, I know there are shortages around, but if you can find a location that maybe you may be able to stock up on, definitely do it. Well, I mean, Ellie Brown, you're right. Government doesn't want to pay teachers to teach remote. Educators don't want to give all when they teach remote. You're right. But they're at a point where you just can't do in person anymore. I mean, look, the schools are, I didn't even know what was going on. I was telling y'all last week. I woke up, I heard the kids outside playing, and I looked at the clock. It was 10:30 in the morning, and it was Thursday. And I was like, wait a minute, shouldn't these kids be in school? They were out in the streets playing Thursday morning. And that's when I realized, I was like, wait a minute, something's going on. And I went online, and that's why I did my video. And it showed all of these different school districts closing because there was a surge going on within the school district. So they had to shut everything down ahead of the winter break. Now, some of them are saying, oh, well, we'll try to come back in January. And some districts are like, the hell with it. We're just going to stay remote for the rest of the year. So it depends on where you live. Now, some school districts aren't even going to attempt to reopen. So I don't know. I mean, how do you keep it open and there's surges going on in the school? They really got themselves between a rock and a hard place right now. And they've been between this rock and hard place going on 2 years. These folks are more like your band-aid kind of people. They're okay if you got to put a band-aid on something. But if you got to really dig in and do the work to resolve something, they're not made for that. They're not made for that. Now they'll claim they are, but they're not. And their leadership in this whole thing has been a disaster. So we're going to have to essentially lead ourselves and do the best that we can to get through this, because you can see now you can't rely on these folks. They can't even rely on each other through this. They can't. And all you got is a news media getting up every day lying to everybody. That's all you got. They don't know how to do nothing but get on TV and lie day in and day out. And these are the folks that's going to lead us out of these things? I don't think so. I don't think so. Now, I was going to go over gardening with my channel members and patrons, but since the situation has pretty much taken a turn for the worse, I'll just do um I'll do a presentation. And what I'll do is I'll put together some slides and we'll talk about things you can get to start your garden. And you don't need even a yard. If you want to start a garden and you're in an apartment, you're just going to have to get planting bags to put on your balcony. That's what you're going to have to do. And you just grow as much as you can on your balcony. Is it going to be everything? No. But, you just pick and choose the things that you like, and that's what you grow. And you know what's so weird, y'all? In my township, they won't allow us to have um, livestock. But if you drive one town over, hold on. If you drive one town over from where I am, one town over, they got chickens running around in their yard. They got livestock. But we got the room. Most of us got yards and got the room for chickens. They won't let us have it. But if you cross over, where Edward Cagney Matthews, that town, part of that town is like a rural area. They are allowed to have chickens, but it's a predominantly white town. But yes, if you drive through certain streets over in Mount Laurel, you'll see chickens running around in people's yards. They can have chickens. But you come one town over to where I am, you can't have chickens. You can't have livestock. They can, we can't. Go figure, right? Yeah. Well, see, that's what my grandmother did. And see, I learned how to take care of chickens through my grandmother. She had them all the time when I was young. And she had like a little barn in her backyard. And that's where the chickens would be at night. And she would just go in there every day and get the eggs. She had fresh eggs every single day. She would get the eggs. And of course, after having them over time, she just go ahead and get them slaughtered when she was ready to serve them. But that's how my mother and my father were raised. They had their own livestock. They had a goat, chickens. My aunt, my grandmother's sister, they had a cow, and they got milk all the time from the cow, and eventually they slaughtered it and they split the meat up among the family members, and that's how they got through um even hard times down there in Georgia. My mother and father lived through Jim Crow. So but that's how they got through. Everybody helped each other. Yeah, they always complicate everything, but it makes no sense. And if you look at where they're allowed to have chickens and look at our yards, we actually got more yard than they do, but they can have more they can have the chickens. So, yes, if you can do a garden, you can do a patio garden, you can do a balcony garden, or if you got a yard, you can dig out a spot to put your garden. So just get like a sort of a real sunny spot in your yard. You should be okay, you know? So, y'all, I mean, all we can do is try to strategize and get through this whole thing. But wow, I mean, what it was a wake up call listening to him. But just know you really got to go online and look at the news yourself. Unfortunately, the US media is not into telling you the truth at all. They'll come on every day and tell you unvaccinated people are causing the whole thing, and it's just simply not true. But they'll get on there every day and tell you that. you know. So, yeah. So we need to be independent from whatever's going on in this country. Absolutely. We most certainly do. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Radi King, there are places that have community gardens, and that's fine if you live around the kind of people that will contribute into it. But unfortunately, all communities are not like that. Some communities you can get people to come together and work on a community garden, and in some places you'll have some people that will do it, and then some people that will want to take from the garden, but they won't help you work the garden. So you got those kind of folks around you too. Yeah, highly favored. Yeah, all you need is a food dehydrator. You can make your own beef and chicken jerky yourself. You can do that yourself. And it, because I got a food dehydrator and I have done meat in mine. And if you do your own, because all you got to do is make your own brain for the meat, and you need stuff like soy and something like liquid smoke, where you can give the beef and the chicken some flavor and put in all your favorite seasonings. And some people like it to have sort of a spicy and sweet taste. If you like that, then you're going to need brown sugar. So you can do it yourself. And the nice part about dehydrating food, it has a 3-year shelf life. 3 years. You can literally put it in Ziploc bags and store it yourself. And it has a 3-year shelf life. And food dehydrators are really not that expensive. I got mine from Amazon. The last thing I made in it were my own raisins. I bought some red grapes from BJ's. I had, I would say like 4 pounds of grapes, and I just spread them all out on each tray. Mine has 5 trays, and I just spread it out on all the different 5 trays, and I made my own raisins. It only took about maybe like a day and a half to make my own raisins. It really wasn't bad at all. And you can dehydrate uh, vegetables, and you can recook those vegetables and they will just hydrate back up. So if you wanted to dry some carrots and peas and stuff like that, you can dry that and store that up. And then when you're ready to cook, you can cook those things back up and they'll just rehydrate again. So don't leave out veggies. Veggies are also good to put aside and use if the shortage gets even worse. Yeah, I have different size mason jars too, Shell Purdy. Yeah, definitely get mason jars. Hmm. Yeah, I mean, Gentile Slayer, yes, your grape seeds, definitely plant those. Hmm. Yeah, and you can learn how to can your own vegetables. I mean, we can get into all of that if you like. I'll start putting things together and we'll talk about gardening, because you really should start getting your garden ready in February. Some things you can get in the ground even before spring, especially if you intend on growing strawberries. You really got to start planting that stuff in February in order to have strawberries in June. So that is just one of many things that you can plant while it's still winter. Yeah, you can freeze vegetables, you can dry them. I mean, you can can them yourself. Absolutely. Yes. Trini, to the bone. Yes. The better buggy is really gone. I wish it wasn't. I hear you. I feel you. I really wish they would have hung in there, but I guess they had their reason. Mhm. Yeah. So, yeah, you can definitely yeah, if you're crafty like that and you can make your own quilt, that's a beautiful thing, you know So definitely just stock up on the necessities. That way you have it. And I know everybody is in a different situation, but if you're able to save even a little bit out of your spending, try to save. I think it's probably more critical now than ever before. Hmm. Yeah. So, all right, everybody. I just wanted to let you know that. And I'm going to start listening to the governor a little more often. And he's even talking about passing a bill to help out small businesses. And I think they're trying to do that ahead of a disaster. I really do, because we know small businesses have not done well since they reopened the country. Many of them are not doing well at all. Mhm. Yeah, Yvette, Chris, Coburn, yes, nuts are definitely good. If you're a nut eater, nuts are great to store, you know, because they're another thing that don't go bad real fast. And those are the kind of things you need to focus on for real. Mhm. Trini to the bone. I hear you. That's what I intend on doing. So I'm saving my money and growing my own vegetable garden. Yeah, grow some do you like cantaloupes? Cantaloupes are probably the easiest thing in the world to grow. And watermelon if you have the room. People you need to do the same, save cash. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds. I love those. In fact, it's funny that you're bringing that up. I just bought pumpkin seeds back in October, and I bought sunflower seeds like a couple of weeks ago. I love sunflower seeds. And grow your own sunflowers. I have. I mean, one thing about them that's a drawback, they do attract a lot of bugs. So if you can put them somewhere in the yard that's not close to your house, like a little further back in your yard, you should be okay with sunflowers. That's the only thing, unfortunately, the animals and the bugs like to eat the same foods we like. So I mean, it's possible to protect them and everything, using diatomaceous earth, just, putting that on the sunflower plant. But I would always recommend if you're going to grow it, just kind of grow it away from your house and your windows and your doors. Don't grow that close to your house. Mhm. Yeah, yeah. It's funny you brought that up, Trini to the bone. I was looking at different generators on Amazon just a few days ago, and I like the different ones they have out there, and I'm thinking about buying a few of them. So, yeah, and they are solar powered. So, you just got to get them in a location where it can get sun, but it's definitely worth having, especially if you can get one powerful enough to plug in something like your refrigerator or a deep freezer. That would be good because that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for something that will power my refrigerator and freezers if power goes out, because I have two refrigerators and I have a deep freezer, a big one. I got one of those big chest freezers. Hmm. Yeah, you know what, Frida M, you should be getting all different size plastic containers with lids. That's what I would recommend. Make sure you get different size from small to big, like 32 ounce, and definitely got to have buckets. Hmm. You know what's so funny? My mini refrigerator that I had back in college, oh man, that was many years. Do you know that little sucker still works? My little mini refrigerator still works from college. Well, that's because over the years I did not always have it on. but I got it on now, and that little sucker still works. It still works. It's a General Electric. And most of the people that had one that I went to college with, theirs broke down years ago, but mine is actually, that little thing is still working. Mhm. Yeah. So that's all I wanted to tell y'all. I know many of you are very smart and knowledgeable, but also start listening to your governors and what they have to say because, like I said, I picked up instantly something was terribly wrong in this state just listening to him. So, and I know the other one that's been making announcements is the New York governor, and I've seen a couple of them, you know. And of course, you're going to always have those governors that are in denial and they'll try to upplay everything when we don't see anything optimistic going on in the country. But they'll sit there and tell you, it's like the snake oil salesman. That's what some of these governors are like. Instead of telling the truth, they're standing there being a snake oil salesman, and we don't need that. What these folks are doing is absolutely what we don't need at all. Renegade 6977. Yes, honey never goes bad. That's one thing about honey. Honey never, yeah, I mean, it's amazing how the Most High engineered something and it never goes bad. But if you get honey, honey will never go bad. You can pick that honey up 30 years from now and it'll still be good. It never goes bad. So definitely, I love raw honey. I always keep raw honey around. Yeah. All right, y'all. Please enjoy the rest of your day and, just keep your eyes open and pay attention to the things that are being said in regards to CV in the country because it's real critical right now. We're in a very critical time. So I hope everybody is safe wherever you are on this planet. I really do. Shalom, family.